Hi, I'm MacKenzie Brown, VP of Security for Blackpoint Cyber, and this is episode dos of Return of the Mac. So while at Wild West Hacking Fest, we were able to set up a lively game of beard pong. And yes, you heard that right. You'll see in a moment what I mean by that. And then we were joined by Matt Lee and Jason Slagle, who were helping us have some lively discussion while also kicking Jason Rathbun and I's asses at this game. Joined by Matt Lee, who is the Senior Director of Security and Compliance over at PAX8. If you don't know Matt, you should know Matt. I feel like I see him at every single cybersecurity and MSP event now under the sun, and it's fantastic and also weird. Like, is he stalking me or something? He's not. I'm stalking him. Just kidding. Not stalking you, Matt. His career actually began breaking into things and not getting arrested, which I think those go hand in hand as an approval when you come up into STEM. But he was followed by some time over at Choose Networks and Iconic IT before he joined the PAX8 team. And you can see him on, well, he's pretty much on his own podcasts and webcasts and webinars and speaking live at events. I mean, he's everywhere. And his teammate is his Jason. We both got a Jason Slagle, who started hacking at age 16 and hasn't really stopped, which I approve of that message. So thank God he's a good guy. Jason is the president of CNWR, an MSP based out in Ohio. Before his decade plus with CNWR, he worked for Authentic Response and TNS NFO. Yes, that was a lot of acronyms. I wanted to make sure I got them right for you, Jason. So while Matt and Jason's favorite cybersecurity event may differ a little bit, and they kind of agree with that, apparently beards are a requirement to be a hacker. So my Jason and I did not have beards, thus the baby side. I will say, I guess I'll never be a prolific, elite hacker because I can't seem to grow this beard, but I'll keep trying. And then maybe someday when I learn enough information, I'll have a beard. Moving on to Team Babies. This is myself and Jason Rathbun. He is young but wise, technical director of threat operations over at Blackpoint. He doesn't choose to speak a lot, but when you do hear Jason speak, it's just so profound. I love Jason. So it'll go right over your head if you're not listening. So enjoy the fun game. Enjoy us asking questions, very specific strategic questions about the industry, the MSP space, what to expect. But more importantly, watch us play some awesome beer pong or beard pong, as you will. Team Babies, MacKenzie Brown, VP of Security for Blackpoint Cyber.
Jason Rathbun, Technical Director of Threat Operations.
My name is Jason Slagle, President of CNWR, MSP in the Toledo, Ohio area, here to play beer pong and have some fun.
I'm joining Team CNWR as another fellow bearded cybersecurity. She's had too much. Too much.
Jason Slagle, President of CNWR, MSP out of Toledo, Ohio, here to have fun and play beer pong.
Yeah, and talk about cybersecurity. I'm Matt Lee. I'm with I'm Matt. I'm also representing Team CNWR. We've got awesome people supporting us in the crowd. I think we're going to win it. We've got the most cybersecurity knowledge and certainly the most beer and beard probably for this endeavor. So let's get going.
All right. I to I.
Oh. We both suck.
Y'all use my eyes.
Cut
Seems
that.
like in that one. I to I.
Oh!
Crushing it right here.
All right.
Checking up on Instra.
Oh,
Good questions.
you know, just doing a quick.
Just checking and doing a quick
for
selfie.
real.
We got really good lighting in here.
Are you ready for the first question?
Okay.
Sure.
No.
Nice save.
That was cool, though, right?
That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Matt.
Yes.
What do you see as the biggest risk area that security technology needs to address?
I would say all the basics are the biggest problem, and I think automating away a lot of the challenges of not having baseline security in place. Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest gaps right now is that people come in and when you buy your Microsoft tenant, it's in the worst case it'll ever be in, right? Like, and my watch goes off right when it knows I'm talking about Microsoft, so I think, I'm sorry, it's on me.
They're listening.
But seriously, if you buy an AWS tenant or if you buy a Microsoft tenant, the minute you get it, it is the least secure it will ever be.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out how do we overcome that and come up with baseline standards and what's acceptable. And a lot of that's
Opt
technology
in.
to solve.
Or
opt out.
opt out.
Right? Right. Cool.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, at least we made that up though.
Bang.
It's a stretch. I tried.
All right. The other question I have
Jason's
lined
turn.
up is for Jason.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make during incident response when responding to an incident?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake that people make is they don't record a proper chain of evidence, right? So it's very easy to go into cleanup mode where you're trying to clean everything and then not lose a bunch of forensics evidence you will need to understand how they originally got in, so you're not able to close the original like foothold that the
And even
threat
if you
actor
do
used.
gather the incident evidence, you've tainted it, you haven't preserved its chain of custody,
Yep.
and it's not even usable,
Yeah,
right? Like, so even
correct,
if you
yeah.
have done it, you've done it improperly in a lot of the cases.
What
so.
if forensic evidence gathering slows down bringing back up operations,
It always
operational
does.
restoration?
Yeah, that's a trade-off you have to make, and
Yeah.
I think there's reasonable arguments either way as long as they're defensible. However, if you do it right, the response and the bring up can happen in parallel to the existing stuff still being down.
And
right?
the containment, if
yeah.
done well in the beginning, is limited in its scope of what
Yep.
has to be contained, right?
yeah.
Like, if you've done a good enough job doing principle of least privilege and isolating the damage and the risk that can come from it, like, in general, some of those incidents would have been further contained, and you would have been dealing with a smaller subset of the business aspect of it too, right?
I like that. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So do you guys like have to have beards in order to be hackers, or is that flavor saver qualification? Is that not allowed?
You know, it's issued upon birth. You just don't know it, right? Like, at some point, you're gonna have a beard. You'll figure it out.
Right,
Like, I think
right.
your moment's coming.
I've been trying to grow my
yeah,
beard.
you have to
for
push
some
real hard.
time.
Like, it's like.
Jason's beating me. Wow! Whoa! Balls back!
Let's go.
Okay.
Crack those knuckles. Top 3 tactical security initiatives companies should prioritize and why.
Centralizing everything to a single identity provider,
Oh,
right? Like IDP
that's
5.6,
spicy. I like it.
6.7, taking that further to say that we also have an understanding of our data and we can like prioritize what principle of least privilege needs to play out. So like
Okay.
centralizing from a 5.6 perspective, and then really I think from a tactical perspective is training your people. And I don't mean like training so they check the box, but training so like they actually successfully don't do the bad people are trying to get them to do. Like,
So who do you think requires more food in a crisis? Security professionals or IT professionals?
ooh, wow.
Ooh.
Are they delineable? At the end
I
of the day,
love
they're all
that,
wrench
right?
tenders.
Let's assume they are, even
Okay.
though we all know they aren't.
Let's say in a perfect world, they're all separable. Which
Yeah.
one?
I think both ends of the spectrum exist in both industries, but I think security people would be busier, so they will probably need more food.
And see, I would
They
disagree.
would need like the Chipotle to get them lasting
No, no, no.
longer.
Or there's
and
just
IT
no such
people
thing.
Need like
I would actually side with the IT guy
Oh.
that is sitting there having to reinstall Sally's laptop to get her back up, knowing there wasn't a fucking thing they were going to be able to do for Sally when it came back up. And yet they had to go, I know you want your desktop icons back here. I'm just trying to get this back alive. Like, I think it's going to be the IT professionals if it's me.
Well, the IT guy rebuilding Active Directory in itself needs like 20 pizzas. You missed it though.
Oh, no, it's even better. I love the extra top. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yes.
my. Okay.
But you have
We
less
got it.
cups.
Oh!
That's like
yeah!
your one jam,
What's
bro.
up?
Now you answer a cyber question. Join in
Incident
on the incident
response.
response question.
One of the most important parts about the incident response when you're wiping those backups, why you need that golden image is because the log files, especially if they're using a legitimate tool like AnyDesk, etc., then you can see what they did with that tool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's
But I know
super
you didn't
important.
mean to say wiping those backups because
I
Try
hope
not
not.
to destroy
Re-imaging?
data. Yeah.
At Blackpoint,
Re-imaging
we
might
wipe
work.
the backups.
From
Just
backup.
kidding.
Rolling
Yeah.
back.
Do not.
But
7
I
years
think what
ago.
you're saying is don't
Yeah.
bring back the existing persistence that the threat actor
Yeah,
has.
exactly.
When you're doing those efforts.
Find a
Which is
good
why
backup.
you can't just jump forward and
You
say
know,
I'll
the
restore.
concept of integrity, of known
Yes.
good testing.
Well, but they ignore the known good part, right?
Yeah.
Matt,
How is known
Yeah.
good? Like,
well, it's known good
an
whatever they want
existential
up
question?
yesterday.
You got to get the logs
Yeah.
first and
Seems
then
like
roll
it might
back
be.
to a clean image if you know what it is.
Well, when you know that point, right? And that's the whole part of
Yeah.
incident response, trying
That's
to
the
figure out
hardest
the
part.
incident
Yeah.
response digital side of that to say, were they here for 3 months? Or did they show up yesterday?
And sometimes the threat actors know, and if they can
Uh-huh.
stay around long enough, they will wait out.
Just
So you
persist
literally
that.
don't
Yeah.
have a
Well,
backup.
I-
for you.
Yeah.
What I have learned is the delineation between the IR teams that do single system forensics during
Sure.
their investigations versus widespread forensics across the board, deploying tools,
And the
getting
timeline of that
coverage, and pulling
output.
telemetry.
Right? And I think from your dart time, like
Yes.
that changes drastically when it's broad.
Oh my god.
Wait, is that a couple bars?
That bounced like 5 times.
That counts as 3, doesn't it? That's how I see it.
What advice for folks wanting to get into cybersecurity, the field specifically, would you give?
Oh, that's cool. You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The advice I'd give is to make yourself noticeable, right? Like I see resumes, and I know a lot of people that see resumes, and they all look the same, especially right out of college. So anything you
Oh,
can
yeah.
do
Very slushy down
to make
there.
yourself look different, like have a GitHub page with some things you've done, contribute
Sure.
to open source code, right? Write something. Like there's things everywhere, and there's projects that can always use help, and that's a really good way to make yourself look different from
Yeah.
the other people entering the field.
But I would
I
take
like
that
that.
a step further to say, like, find something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Find something that excites you, that makes you happy to work on those projects, that makes you want to be involved. Like,
In the big wide world of cybersecurity.
yeah, there's so
Yeah.
much.
Like, there
like
really is.
you've
There really
lived in an
is.
incident response capacitance. Other people have lived in threat research. Like, there's so many things to do. Find what makes you
Yeah.
happy and do that. Like, that's important in life, not just cyber. So,
I think we need our higher education systems to get better too. I'm on the industrial advisory board at the cybersecurity program at the University of Toledo, and
you're welcome.
I'll lecture to their senior level classes, and I'll ask them who wants to be red, who wants to be blue, who wants to be purple, and no one knows how to answer that question. So they've gotten all the way to
Interesting.
senior for a master's in cybersecurity, and they don't know whether they want to be red, blue, or purple. Right? It's you think you need to know that to specialize at
Right.
some point.
It's a hard question to know, like if you want to start
It
like
is.
red or blue, right?
It is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's what you enjoy the most,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, and I think unfortunately, like there's a certain amount of aspect of university that has to come into play to bring you to a certain level, or at least in most curricula. Like if you're talking about being a doctor, you need a little bit of understanding of biochemistry, how the body kind of functions
I guess.
as like a sack of chemicals, like all those things. And so you have to take that with a grain of salt. Well, like in our world, there's still that same concept of like people that go, I want to be in cyber and have no concept of network engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
We're sending astronauts to space, but they never got that
Yeah,
shook
they're like,
around.
what's this weird floaty suit thing? And all this weird not touching the space while I walk
They're
away.
like, I know the buttons to
They've never
press,
been in
but
a
I
plane.
don't know why
Yeah.
I'm throwing
Yeah.
up.
And so I think that schools do a bad job at that,
Yep.
and medical and
Yeah.
other places have come out with internship aspects that you have to be in residency for a year, and then you have to do this. So I don't know. I think cyber takes a similar track in some of those more advanced professions.
Did you guys
for
go
sure.
through the cyber route through college?
No.
No,
Me either.
I broke into things
Same
and didn't
here.
get
Yeah.
arrested.
I have
Like,
a- yeah.
that was
I was
my win.
computer
I have a
science.
Yeah.
computer science degree.
I
yeah.
was theater.
That was so.
Irregular.
Ah!
Oh,
W on the beard side.
narc,
That is
yeah.
what happened.
Round 2. Fight.
All right, what's your guys' favorite hacker movie? What inspires you?
Hackers.
If there ever was a hacker movie.
Hackers.
It's a good question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it the rollerblades or the trench coats or Angelina Jolie or the actual?
So before the movie came out, I read a book based on the script of the movie that was actually a lot better than the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
What book was that?
Hackers.
Seems
Shockingly, shockingly enough.
Self-titled.
You like Lord of the Rings, the third act?
Mine's totally war games.
War Game's good.
Yeah. Here's why.
War
So
Games is
my
good.
boss.
That's actually very legitimate.
But here's why. Like this was posthumously awarded.
Okay.
My boss actually worked for Reagan during the White House administration from a SIGINT perspective. Like, he was the guy that carried the football. And he said that the story about Reagan actually watching war games and going, how real is this? And people going, pretty real boss.
Pretty legitimate.
Right? It's so interesting because it was like this first time that art imitated what really was coming in the reality of some of those things from a connectivity
When people ask me about AI, I'm like, what's
But
horror
hackers
games?
does win for like the
Seems accurate.
obvious reasons around hackers.
It's got that really terrible, like you're hacking and then the boat is singing, row, row, row your boat.
Yeah, it has
Like,
some
I've
more
never been in a
challenges
data
there,
center
yeah,
with
yeah.
speakers.
But you always have to gotta have
I
that
got one.
teenage romance though with anything.
Oh, that was almost epic.
Better.
We're gonna get
That was 2 money right there.
2 buckets, bro.
All 2 of them? Or like 1.5? Or 2 1/4?
Oh no!
That's
and they
three
got
buckets.
Third bucket.
Whoa, bro.
Bucket
They
in
got
a
him
row.
back.
Down, calm it.
You got one.
Have you seen those shots though, where they move so fast?
Ah!
All right.
Oh.
If you could target like a dart
Like
on
a-
a board
Or like maybe a cup on the middle of
or
a
a ball
horizontal
in a
plane.
cup. Oh,
Like that.
Just like
that was so
just like
takeaway.
that.
What a
Right?
shot.
Like right
If
here.
that
Yeah.
ball in that cup
Okay.
was the one
That's the right
thing that
customer.
MSPs fail at when it comes
Okay.
to cyber, the one thing, and it's not one
go.
thing that they could do differently
Tap me in.
tomorrow.
Tap me in.
You're in.
Okay.
One thing they could do differently.
Stop thinking cybersecurity is tools.
Okay, I love that.
Cybersecurity is operations. Cybersecurity is the tactics and the playbooks and the thinking ahead of time, right? It's the planning for the worst. It's the assuming compromise. It's all the things that help you reduce the blast radius. And they think still that this magical tool is going to stop all threats. Is that too much?
I mean, I feel like we could expand that past the MSP space, let's be honest.
Sure, there's some
Like,
correlative
Any one
aspect in
tool
life,
that thinks
Buy
they can
this
cover the whole
technology.
ecosystem.
But like,
is just-
we
Machine
walk through this
learning.
space a lot, right? Like, oh, AI, it's it, done.
Yeah.
But you know, the point is we do this a lot. Like Carter had pills for a long time, sold them town to town to help you fix your liver, and it was mostly morphine, like at the end of the day, or cocaine. And
Yeah,
yet what
think about your
happens is
liver.
as the maturity rises and as more and more people understand that that is really just morphine and cocaine, we start actually seeing real growth. So what I actually take away as a positive is that we're starting to see people go, no, that's not cyber. You can't just say we stop all threats. We're not like bulletproof armor
Yeah.
that's going to stop everything. We have to think more holistically about reducing risk and reducing the impact. And that's your world, right? That's what you live with. So I'm going to walk away with that shot. Oh, you so that's a
Reduce
real
that
one.
risk.
Oh, I love that you thought I was a threat right there, though. That's perfect.
What is the thing that MSPs have the leg up on from the entire rest of the
Oh, yeah.
world
We just
when
did
it
this
comes
talk.
to
Yeah,
cybersecurity? Where
We
we're
just
at
did
right
this talk.
We just did this
oh,
talk.
You just, tell me
It's
the
At
top.
GurCon.
It's community.
Tell
called-
me the top.
The title was MSPs Suck,
Yep.
but the world without them is worse.
See, okay,
was good.
tell me that leg up. Tell
After
me that
you.
leg up opportunity, especially when it comes to cyber.
Community, right? Like with things like MSP Geek and other things like that,
Oh, I love that.
we come together, right?
Yeah.
Like enterprise doesn't share amongst each other. It's too adversarial, right? Like the MSPs, we're all trying to make each other better. It's good.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Are you up?
Yeah,
is
we're
something
up.
that
So
doesn't-
I would add to it too that like I interviewed this guy for a job and he was coming from mid-enterprise and he was like really excited about his world, right? And he's like coming to be my head project guy. We were at that point like a $20 million company.
So project manager.
Yeah. And he goes, well, no, like lead project tech, like
Oh,
really
okay,
a wrench turner.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
he goes, I've done 20 P2Vs, physical to virtual migrations. I've done 10 V2Vs, done 3 email migrations. And I kind of like pushed back from the table and I was interviewing and I pushed like his resume away and I was like, hey, I want to set like an expectation on pace of play here. In the MSP world, that's my average project text Tuesday. That's your
Okay.
10-year career. That's his Tuesday. He's going to do that tonight, right now, and you've done that once in 10 years. And I don't mean that to be diminutive, but I think there's this understanding that the MSPs work hard for it.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
do so much more pace of play to where people that come from an enterprise place goes, I'm out. There's too much work.
Absolutely.
Too much planning. And I think that's the thing they have a leg up on. They work
Ooh.
harder. Yeah, 100%. How do you balance, Jason, you're going to appreciate this. How do you balance finding something really cool to talk about without creating the histrionics of people that look up to you to answer whether or not you're telling the truth about what their world is and what the impact of it is? How do you balance that responsibility in this world?
Yeah, it's a difficult
Walk
balance
away,
for
son.
sure.
Sorry, you go.
It's a difficult balance, right? Finding like essentially what you share and what you put into detection logic.
Right.
I've found recently with lol bins, like the
living
lol
off
bass
the
project,
land binaries?
a lot of people are starting to use that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So it's a lot easier to share those tactics because most of them are pretty old, honestly, but they're being reused. And it's different tactics that aren't being monitored that they're reusing.
I was just talking about this today. So I took a class called Breaching the Cloud with Bo Bullock.
Right.
Bo Bullock. But he talked about this point where you're exporting an Azure profile. You're exporting something about your overall session token, all those things. That's probably a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like that should be
You can
identified
just
as.
import it later.
And so those are the kind of things you have to look for in low bins, right? The things where you're just using basic capabilities to export capabilities that matter to breach someone and
Well,
compromise.
some of them are like won't fix, right? Like there's like 15 ways to use Teams to do shady right? And they just won't fix it.
Come on, son, let's go! Wow!
Oh!
That was so good.
Thanks.
Okay. Of all the MSP-based events you've gone to this year, which is the best?
Ooh, Rathbun.
Oh, yeah! I wish I
Period.
went in when you
Right?
said that.
Would you take MSP Geek over?
Yeah, I take
Why?
MSP Geek on.
Give me the vote. I'll take the vote. Okay.
Ooh.
I get this. I'm in.
Was
I'm in.
Rathbun
I would
So-
vote
last year?
Rathbun. Rathbun. I mean, I'm biased though. Rathbun.
I'm a little
I've met
security
everyone.
weirdo. Yeah.
The
That was my gateway drug was Rathbun.
Yeah, first time's free. One Andrew Morgan and you're in.
I mean, Write a Boom is great content, right? Like the problem that I have with it is that there are two classes of MSPs that are there. They're the ones that are the echo chamber, right? We all get it, right? We don't need that education. And then there's the ones that aren't engaged, and this is a conference that they've gone to, and they don't understand security, and a lot of the content this year went over their heads, right? So
what content do they need? Like, you have echo chamber, right? And you have the full-on noob MSPs.
I'm going to pick on our example.
Okay.
Like
Help me
50
understand.
or 60% of MSPs, when polled, don't have CA on their own 365 tenants. No
Jason's
conditional
talking
access.
about the fact that we do a talk every year. We've done it now. This will be our third year.
It'll be our fourth time giving
Fourth
it
time giving
in
it,
November.
called How I Would Hack You.
Okay.
And what's interesting is during that time, we talked to MSPs about this broken part. So MSPs, if you ask them about security.
Oh my gosh. That was how I would hack you.
And what's interesting is we're really just bringing up very basics about the fact that MSPs, when you talk about security, go, how can I sell EDR or MDR to my client? Not, how do I lock that front door so that it doesn't let bad guys in? And Jason and I, to his point that he was talking about was, we ask MSPs to raise their hands if they understand conditional access, just basic capability. I know, dark girl, I know. Do they understand the basics?
Do they run it for their tenant?
Of conditional access, and how do they protect themselves, and do they understand escalatory risk and escalatory conditional access policies? And the answer 2 years ago was 0-ish% of 200 people raised their hand. Now last year, 10 to 12% did, and this last year that we were at
In June, it was 40%,
50,
I
40?
think. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
That's good.
you see this rapid growth
getting
in
better.
that understanding, but coming from a place where, we talk about stealing candy from babies. If I retired, I would retire to steal from MSPs, genuinely. And so there's a weird problem that we just proved, which is MSPs are still better than every individual small to mid-sized business trying to do this themselves.
True.
So how do you incentivize that growth and build their capabilities? This might be a little self-serving for Blackpoint, so drop that. But how do you build their capabilities by partnering with those companies and driving their success in a world where they are genuinely ignorant? And I'll point that finger at myself. I'm not pointing at these MSPs. I think we all are ignorant to how broad this is. I just spent 2 days learning how wrong I was about cyber when it comes to cloud protections with Bo Bullock. It actually has to really grow. And so MSPs are this virgin land of people that care a lot about their customers. They have a real vetted interest in the community. You totally get that, right? That's your world. And so how do you empower them to be the winners and the heroes with the superhero capes, right? That's
Get out of here.
with your superhero blocks. I hate you.
So I'll
I'm
blame.
Nancy Kerrigan.
I will throw shade, and I'll be the jerk that.
That's why we work
We
well
want
together.
the shade. I want the
Yes.
shade. It's
At distribution
Beard
and
pong.
some of the giant traditional vendors.
So, yeah, totally.
No, but traditional
I agree. It's the
distribution,
way
right?
it
So
works. It takes-
I'll go to an event based on one of the big distributors, and the talks are how we can help you pick your security stack. right? Like what can we do? What can we do to basically help you sell more widgets?
Right, Jason, 100%. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, how do we rise revenue?
No, so if the MSPs are being told by the people that they get their knowledge from, here, let me help you pick the tool to help this thing, right? Like, let me help you sell widgets. They don't gain knowledge, and knowledge gives them the ability to unsnake oil a tool, right? Like to ask the right questions, to not be hoodwinked.
Like, we take advantage of the low maturity as a consumer base, and like now they're getting smarter. So it's actually a great thing for cyber.
Oh no!
That's ultimate right there, bro.
We got
That's 2
redemption.
wins.
You watch the video and you tell me who won. There might have been some cheating. I don't know, because I feel like we should have won. It was a really hard game, I'm not going to lie. So thankfully, we can all go back to our day jobs, kicking hackers' asses and protecting the world from cyber warfare, because beer pong is not going to be our chosen careers.